Good morning everybody. The topic of my presentation is a study on the commercial banks of India. Let us have a look on the origin and growth of commercial banks in India. In the words of G.U. Pope's English translation of Tirukkural, who swells the revenues, spread plenty over the land, seeks out what hinders progress, is the workman's head, which means in Tamil, மாறி பெருக்கி வளப்படுத்து உற்றவை ஆராய்வான் செய்க வினை, which means it is the duty of the king's official to unlock the sources of revenue and thereby increase the wealth of the nation and utilizing it in times of need. And this concept is followed by the bank nowadays, which accept deposits from the public and grants loans to the people in times of need. Thus, we trace the concept of banking in the earliest Indian text, the Vedas. They mention a concept of usury, which means granting monetary loans to the people. And the Vaishya group of people who are traders, they granted loans to the people, and the people who grant loans were called Kusitins. And the Jatakas mention the concept of loan deed as Renapatra, which grants monetary loans to the people. And Manusmriti portrays the rate of interest to be charged to the people. It fixes the maximum rate beyond which the interest should be charged, and the interest should be uniform to all caste. And Arthashastra, written by Kautilya, mentioned the loan deed as Rinalekya, and it portrays the rate of interest of Pana per mil. Pana is the coin which was used in those periods, and the commercial interest charged for the people is 5 panas, and 20 panas of interest were charged for sea traders, and 10 panas were charged for forest people. And the person who failed to pay the debts were punished with a fine of 12 panas. And the Mauryan period used a bill of exchange-like instrument called Adesha, and in the medieval period and during the Mughal rule, they had the loan deed as Dastavis. They granted 2 types of loan, Dastavis-e-Indul Tala, which means loan payable on demand, and Dastavis-e-Niyadi, which means the loan granted for a fixed period. And also they mention a concept called hundis, a credit type of instrument, and it had its origin during the Mughal rule. And if we, in the modern banking era, during the colonial era starts from the 18th century, and in the first bank in India was introduced in the year 1770, the Bank of Hindustan. And in 1786, General Bank of India came into existence, but later it failed. In the State Bank of India, which had its origin now, had the origin of Bank of Calcutta in the year 1806, and it was renamed as Bank of Bengal in the year 1809. 1809, 3 presidential banks came into existence: Bank of Bengal, Bank of Madras, and Bank of Mumbai. And these 3 banks were consolidated into Imperial Bank of India in the year 1921. Until the establishment of the Reserve Bank of India, this acted as a quasi-central bank. And in the year 1935, Reserve Bank of India came into existence with the establishment of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. And in the post-independence era is from 1947 to 1990, and it is the phase of nationalization of the banks. The government wanted to nationalize all the banks for the development of the economy, and in 1969 midnight, the government passed an ordinance to nationalize 14 largest commercial banks. And by 1980, the 91% of the Indian banking industry is owned by the government. Then Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi had a professional bent to management of nationalization. in the year 1969, and in 1955 the State Bank of India was established. The Imperial Bank of India was named as State Bank of India in the year 1955, and the liberalization phase took from 1990 till now, and this liberalization bring banking and financial sector reforms. As a result, RBI opened the gates for the private sector banks. ICICI, HDFC and UTI came into existence. And all the banks were governed by the Banking Regulation Act 1949. It defines banking as, according to Section 5C of the Banking Regulation Act, a banking company is a company which transacts the business of banking in India. And it defines, according to Section 5B of the Banking Regulation Act, banking as accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check, draft and order or otherwise. So, it accepts deposits in the form of savings deposits, current deposits, recurring deposits, fixed deposits from public, and from the deposits, out of the total deposits, 75% are granted as loan to the public in the form of home loan, educational loan, etc. And if you see the Indian banking industry, it is divided into scheduled banks and unscheduled banks. Scheduled banks are the banks which come under the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, and scheduled banks are classified according to this. SBI denotes the State Bank of India and Associates, and there are 6 group of banks under this head, and the nationalized bank groups number 20, and at present there are 44 foreign banks operating in India. Foreign banks are the banks which are incorporated outside India but had a big place of business in India. And there are 56 regional rural banks now in India which helps in the development of employment, agricultural and rural activities, and there are 21 private banks operating in India. And the cooperative banks also come under the scheduled banks, but they are governed by a separate act, Cooperative Act, and they have separate banking principles. And the foremost thing of any business organization is profit, and so also for the banks. Banks earn profit by means of the difference between the interest earned and interest expended. Banks earn interest from the loans they grant to the people, and the bank pay interest to the deposit holders. And the profit and losses of commercial banks were studied for 5 years, from 2013 to 2017. And from 2013 to 2015, all the banks were earning profits. So the profit of the private bank is highest than all other banks. Than the State Bank of India, Nationalized Bank, Private Bank and Foreign Banks. But in the year 2016-17, we see the Nationalized Bank group was suffering a great loss, and in the year 2017, both the State Bank of India and the Nationalized Bank was suffering a loss. At present, the loss of the public sector bank, namely the State Bank of India and the Nationalized Bank, account for 87,000 crores, which is a great loss. But in case of private sector bank, year by year, the profitability is increasing. And what is the reason for the decline or profit of banks? The major factor affecting the bank is the NPA of the banks. NPA means non-performing assets. It is a credit facility extended by the bank in which the principal as well as the interest remain unpaid for a period of more than 90 days. The borrowers fail to repay the EMI, and as a result the bank suffers a non-performing assets loss. And if you see the non-performing assets of the bank, throughout the 5 years from 2012-13 to 16-17, we can see the private bank non-performing asset is at very lowest level, and followed the next highest level is got by the State Bank of India, and the nationalized bank group is having a great level of non-performing assets, and the non-performing asset is a double-edged weapon according to the bank, because it drains the profitability of the banks, and the bank may not able to earn any income out of this loans. And as a result, the present NPA level is highest in the nationalized bank group. The total NPA at present in the public sector bank, namely the nationalized bank and State Bank of India, account for 4 lakh crore, and 2 lakh crore of NPA is having for SBI alone. And the Punjab National Bank, which is a part of one of the bank of the nationalized bank group, is having a loss of 55,200 crore of NPA. And India stands in the 5th position regarding the NPA level. And if you see the reasons for the occurring of non-performing assets, because the public sector bank had to contribute 40% to priority sector, which means agriculture and for rural development, but there is no stipulation for that like in private sector banks. And it is a time-consuming and legal impediments to take action against the people who are defaulters of and default borrowers of the banking sector. And the banks also goes for the postponement of problems, and due to political influence and the business failures during demonetization, and there was a crisis in 2008 period, and during those failures the borrowers who are the businessmen were not able to repay the debt. As a result, the NPA level of banking is going at a high rate, and there are also willful defaulters who fail to repay the loans. And the measures taken by the bank to combat NPA or the better credit appraisal system is the need of the hour on a scientific basis, and amendments may be made to banking law granting more power to Reserve Bank of India for correcting the time-consuming legal impediments. And the promotion of prudential disclosure of information is needed, and to avoid political influence. And the raising capital to some extent may resolve the problem of NPA to a certain level. And as a result, the government is going for consolidating the nationalized bank into 6th group. And this is a step-by-step process, and at present the government is going to consolidate Bank of Baroda, Vijaya Bank and Dina Bank into one. And as a result of consolidation, if you see the merits and demerits, the wider capital base may be available for the nationalized bank, and it may result in the improvement of the public sector bank, and as a result the less burden will be borne by the central government, and the issue of more financial instruments will go like mutual fund, LIC, etc. And the low volume of interbank transaction may occur, and there may be upgradation in technology, and it is not free from defects. The consolidation may result in the loss of identity of the local banks, and it may further result in great financial risk, and the human related issues such as seniority, promotion, it may get affected for the employees, and it may cause distress among employees, and it may weaken the public sector to a great extent. And what is the future of Indian commercial banks? Indian commercial banks has a promising future. At present, the worth of Indian commercial bank is 81 trillion, and by 2020, the Indian banking industry has a potential to become the 5th largest bank in the world, and by 2050, Indian Bank are going to become the 3rd largest business entity in the world. So, Indian banking sector has a promising growth because of high level of educated population, employment, high level of disposable income and high quality of the banks. Sure, the Indian commercial banks will emerge as a successful business entity in the future. Thank you.